The last vortex that I have to show you how to draw is how to draw the black hole vortex. See that there on the bottom right? Or maybe you might want to call it the whirlpool vortex, similar to how we've drawn the other two vortices, the curly and the regular one, but just a little bit different. So let's switch on over to that camera there and let's get started on drawing our black hole vortex. So our first step with our black hole vortex, I'm going to start right all the way over at the edge of my paper, and I'm going to kind of draw a loop with a swoop. All right, kind of looks like a little bit of a P shape, maybe. And also you might want to rewind the video. You can take a look at those steps in the printed out copy that I have available for you so that you can see exactly the steps that I'm following to create my black hole vortex. So now what I'm going to do is I'm not starting here, starting right over here at this line, and I'm going to come out, go around, but notice how it's a little closer together. And then as I get out towards the edge here, it gets a little bit fatter. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start over here, starting out close together, and then it gets towards the edge. It gets a little fatter. So like a little bit like perspective, we're creating that 3D illusion that things are kind of getting closer and closer in to that center spot. And I can even do that one more time for myself. So nice and close together, and then maybe a little bit fatter at the edges. And then I'm just going to keep continuing to do this as I go around. So now I'm going to start on the outside part of this little vortex hole there, and I'm going to go around and out. Notice how it's skinnier at the top, gets a little bit fatter as it gets closer to the edge. So here I go, around and out, around and out. I'm going to keep going around and out as I go all the way around the outside of my paper, keeping that same idea closer together as it gets to the middle, further apart as it gets towards the edge. Now I've kind of run out of room here. So now what I can do is I can start adding lines in to just fill up some of the space, just so that it looks a little bit more full, a little cooler. Actually, I want to do a little adjusting for yourself myself. That's one of the things in art. Sometimes you have to use the eraser on that back end of your pencil to really get things looking like how you want it to. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what erasers are for, is I want to be able to put an extra line right in between here. Okay. And I might want to make my little center spot here just a little smaller. Okay, so fill that all in now, and it really does look like it's starting to go smaller and smaller and smaller as it gets into the center hole. And now I'm going to, on the inside of my center space, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to just have it curve around so that it looks like it's swirling and whirlpooling down into that center space. Now, here's where we're going to want to shade it and color it. And I just want to show you with mine here. Here's my completed one, and I do apologize for a bit of the shine on it. That's from the lamination. I want to keep my artwork around. There we go. That's a good one without the glare. Notice how it gets darker in colors towards the middle, and then it starts getting lighter and lighter. It gets towards the outside. Now, for this one, I personally used watercolor, and we learned how to make watercolors darker by adding black and adding more water to get them lighter. So, if you want to choose to use watercolor on your vortex, you can. I also chose to do a little Sharpie outlining, so that might be something that you want to do on yours. But just so that you can see how I would do this if I were indeed going ahead and using pencil, I'm going to go ahead and use my pencil to shade like I showed you, darker as it gets closer on in. And then as it comes out towards the edge again, getting lighter and lighter with my pencil to give it that nice shaded and highlighted look. And then of course you can use that wonderful handy shading tool to blend it all together. Now, if you're using pencil on this one, you might alternate with darker and lighter stripes. So instead of this next one maybe not being as dark, maybe it's a little bit lighter. So you get that alternating light and dark look. But again, as it curves into that center part, I want it to get darker so it looks like it's really disappearing down into that black hole. All right, and I'm just starting to get a bit lighter. And of course, you would shade up your whole thing. And like I said before, you're not limited to using pencil. Of course, if you want to use color pencil, markers are okay, but you really do have to kind of work a little harder with shading and using other colors. I would prefer to stick with the either regular pencils, color pencils, or even watercolors because there are a lot easier to blend and shade with than markers. Okay, and once again, you might have to go back, darken up some lines so you can see them better. So you can see how this is already just with a few little tricks of drawing and some shading starting to look a little more 3D. So that is how you draw the black hole vortex.